Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative, and today I'm going to show you my favorite photography setup. Now this is a 35 millimeter in focal length f0.95 lens from TTArtisan, and this has become my favorite lens to shoot photography. I live in New York City. You may have seen the photos that I put before where I was at the little island and just kind of biking all around because it was a beautiful day today, like the best day ever. And even after the sun went down, it was still like high 60s and 70s. And for people in New York, that's amazing. But it's just, I found the lens that I really love to shoot photography with. Now, let me just go a little bit before and tell you the first lens that I ever got that was very similar to this was TTArtisan, the f0.95, but this is a 50 millimeter lens. And this was great, but it was very tight. And I am not a tight shooter. I'm somebody who shoots with the widest lens that I can get with the lowest f-stop possible. What I'm shooting with right now is what I've shot with a lot, and this is the 16 millimeter f1.4. And by the way, I use the Canon EMF system, and it's something that, even though it's been discontinued because now the RF has their crop censored variant, that's what they're going to be going for. I've even seen the new cameras. I don't really like them. I think it's like the R10 and the R8, the crop censored ones. They're just too big of a body. I don't need all of that. I love this system in general. And again, I went for this lens first. And I was almost thinking about doing a video on this lens, but I was like, this lens is it's so heavy. It is immensely heavy. This is all glass. Like, I picked this up. This feels like nothing. This is a weight. And the way that I actually keep this on me is I have this little clip. This goes in my belt, and this was weighing me down so much. I did not even realize that TTArtisan made a 35 millimeter lens. And you have to see, look at how much shorter this lens is here than the 50 millimeter. It weighs so much less too. So if you are thinking about it, and if you want something that's nice and tight, get the 50 millimeter. You won't be unhappy. You won't be unhappy. Yeah, you won't be unhappy. But for me, this is exactly what I need. I want the widest possible with the lowest f-stop. And this is just beautiful. Because, again, I can shoot basically in the dark. I can have this wide open, and also if you do shoot with this during the day, I do recommend a ND filter. I have one here. I think it steps it down 3 stops, so it just makes it better in light where you can actually use it, because having this thing be wide open, it would blow everything out. And I hope you can actually see. You see me stepping everything down here? That's all the way to f16, but look at this. You can open it all the way, and that is insane. That is insane how big this is. And I'm always astounded because for like a 50 millimeter lens, for that portrait lens, and I think on a crop sensor, 35 ends up being like the full frame equivalent to a 50. But when I see all these kind of cropped censored, really like f1.2 and f1.4, and I was like, this is insane. And then I found this. This is insane. I can't get over the fact about how good the pictures are. Now, I do have to say that there is chromatic aberration on here. You can see like the purples on, you can see them fringing. So this is a lens that will give you, this is a character lens. This is not a crisp and like decisive lens. I'm losing my words today. I really can't do this. It's been a long day. It's about 1 a.m. I'm just trying to record this because this is something that after a full day of shooting, I was like, I have to tell people about this. And another thing, so this body, the Canon M6 Mark II, has in-body digital stabilization, and it does an amazing job with basically every other lens. This is a manual lens. There's no autofocus, and for whatever reason, none of that digital stabilization is applied to this lens. Nothing works here. When you apply it, it says it's not working. And when I'm shooting, you know, kind of like doing a tracking shot that I'm so used to using, maybe even the 56mm from Sigma, and being fine with it, this one I could see all the shakes. And I was like, I'm holding this. And the way that I hold this, I don't hold it with one hand like this. I kind of hold and I pull down. So it's like the tightest shot that I can get because there's little wiggling. And even with that, it looks like it's shaking like crazy. So it's just like, it's not a video lens unless you want to keep it nailed down on a tripod. It just doesn't work. It's not good for that. Even in the previous video for Parlor, you could see those two shots were shot on this at a nightclub, and it was just like, you could see in the dark, but it was just like, it was so shaky. It was just not really what I really want to see out of a lens. So for video lenses, this is going to be my favorite, the 16mm 1.4. But this, what do you think about the pictures that I showed earlier on? I think this is something that everybody should have because this is only $200. Only $200. And one of my favorite things about these manual non-autofocus, manual focus lenses, this is giving me film vibes. It really is. And it's actually good that I was able to find something like this because I have a Canon AE1 program, which I set to automatic and just shoot as casually as possible. The shutter on that broke about, I guess it's been 2 months now, and it really pushed me out of film. There was a backup. I have the Kyocera Slim T, or whatever it's called. It's like a nice point and shoot camera, but I was like, you know, film is getting expensive. Processing it is expensive. There's a lot of things going into it. And then for really 36 shots, for the vibe of film, I was like, I can't. And this is what I expect to do since I've started. I can't really play with the shadows. I can't play with the highlights. If something is lost, it is gone. And as much as I like how the things were coming out, in my mind, I edit photos on my mood. If I want them dark and stormy, I'll do it that way. If I want them nice and bright, I'll just pull up the exposure and I'll be able to do that. And you can do that with a digital camera really easily. So not film. Film, honestly, has kind of gone away ever since that camera broke. I have really pulled away from using film. But this, shooting with this lens, being able to focus and not find focus perfectly every time, and having this tiny, tiny sliver of things that are in focus, it's really, really giving me film vibes. Like, it is this is a 32 megapixel camera, my favorite camera ever. This it's so imperfect that it kind of really resonates with me and feels in a way like film. Digital will never be film. I also think that the things that Fuji is doing with their digital cameras, where they do these presets, that's not film, at least for me, because it is so tack sharp when people use these really, really nice lenses. But there's something kind of ghostly about what's not in focus. And it really, really, really works in terms of just an imperfect shot. And you can take as many imperfect shots as you possibly want to with this. With this, I can literally just shoot, like, look at this. Look how blown out that is. Oh, because there's so many lights on here. Can you even see what are we looking at here? Okay, so we're shooting back this way. There's a lot of stuff over here, by the way. It's all blown out too. I can always step this down. But just imagine trying to do that with a film camera. I have to say, just like personally, by using this camera over and over and over, I've had this lens for about 2 weeks, but I've really, really used it the most today. And I just was like, this is my favorite lens. It has replaced my other favorite lens. Let me see where we have that camera. This has been my previous favorite lens. This is the Canon 22mm f2. It is a small little pancake lens. It makes this into like a very tiny camera to carry around. But something not so much, I mean the body itself is going to be bigger, but you can see it is not so much bigger than this. This is what I will be shooting with professionally. Like if you guys want a portrait, I may go with the 50, but for most shooting, I will be using this. I like how wide the 22mm is, but f2 is good. You're gonna get background blur, but the f1.2 on this has been something I've been using. But this lens is gigantic. This lens is like this long. It makes the body into something very weighty. Also, is weird enough, this lens weighs about twice the gigantic size lens that I'm talking to you about weighs here, and that's kind of interesting. But for me, this is like the perfect little package. It is tiny, it is manual focus, and I am more into using that. By the way, I did start using this with the EVF that you can attach here, the electronic viewfinder. And I was trying to like really line up my shots, but I found that, you know, sometimes you just don't want this. It adds to the size of the camera. It makes it into something you may not need. Using the magnification function, as you can see here, that really helps. All you need to do is you press the magnifier, and then you can really, really get your shot. What do you see here, camera? What do you see here? Do you see me? Blow and everything. Oh look, there's my nose, there's my eye, and you can really just get that shot right there. And it then levels everything, because I shoot everything else on auto, and I think it does a really great job of getting things more or less into focus. And again, when you have like this paper thin sliver of a focus line, it's hard to do. But I love the photos that are coming out here. They're just perfectly imperfect, and I'll be shooting with this for a long, long time. And again, 200 bucks on B&H. And they have the 50mm if you want something tighter, but much, much heavier. God, that's so much heavier. And again, I thought that this was the only lens, and I was like, it's a little tight for me. There's trade-offs. There's just, you know, you're not ever going to be extremely happy. But hey, this is good. This is better for me. Wider lens, I'd say go for it. It's the TTArtisan 35mm focal length f0.95. An insane thing that I never thought I would get something like this. Like, this is the extent, I'm never going to be able to get lower than this. For me in my price range and the cameras I like to use, I'm never going to anything lower. And that's insane to say. But guys, if you have any comments, questions, anything, put in the comments section below. Don't forget I'm on Instagram at m8b9. You can email me at matt8b9@gmail.com. Let's get that thumbnail. God, look at that lens. It's so beautiful. Wait, why can't I see? Oh, there it is. See, we need the light to go inside so we can actually see this. I want to focus on the aperture. Look at the aperture blades. God, that's beautiful. That's it right there. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
committed.